Schools in the spotlight. Joining us now, Parents Defending Education President and founder Nicole Neily. Nicole, thanks for being with us. I got to ask you about this. This is big. The largest teachers union in America, the National Education Association, has a video ad suggesting New Jersey parents who battle school boards are extremists who fight to score political points. At this point in all the work that you're doing, Nicole, how tired are you getting of being called an extremist for simply using your voice?
I mean, is that the best they can come up with? Because let's take a step back and think who is actually extreme. For starters, 99.99% of teachers' union donations go to Democrats, and they regularly advocate for policies that have absolutely nothing to do with education, from things like abortion on demand to Medicare for all, things like supporting Palestine, things that have nothing to do with educating our children. This summer, the NEA actually voted to make an enemies list of people and organizations that oppose the radical gender ideology. And last summer, they did the same thing and made an enemies list about organizations that opposed critical race theory in schools. And so caring about children is their absolute last priority. They're on the defense, and they're scared because people are mad and they know what these unions are up to.
And they want to make their voice heard. We're a country that's about making your voice heard when you have an opinion. Here's some parent outrage. I want you to listen to this. This is the head of the school, what a school board said about the Pledge of Allegiance. Listen to this.
The word God in the text of the Pledge of Allegiance is capitalized. The text is clearly referring to the Judeo-Christian God, and therefore it automatically makes the Pledge of Allegiance a non-inclusionary act.
Okay, so that's a Fargo school board meeting. I want you to listen to what a parent who's trying to reinstate the pledge had to say about it.
Making some of the comments about liberty and justice and how not everybody gets liberty and justice, that is perpetuating critical race theory, which is against the law in North Dakota. So how can it go against board policy to recite it at board meetings, but it doesn't go against board policy to recite it in the schools? So that doesn't even make sense.
Look, Nicole, this is why parents go to school board meetings. They're not extremists, but they've got positions on these issues, and they desperately want their school board members to at least listen. Nicole, how do you react to what you're seeing here in Fargo and more broadly across the country?
I mean, if it can happen in red state North Dakota, it can happen anywhere. And that's why we encourage parents, show up and listen, because the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. You know, fortunately in Fargo, there's a happy ending because the board actually walked back their policy. And so now the Pledge of Allegiance has been reinstated. And to me, that really shows the power of parents, right? People show up, they speak up, and the boards are receptive. And those are not things you'll hear on CNN or MSNBC, but people are making a difference from coast to coast. Just recently, the Wyoming Department of Education actually canceled a contract with Panorama Education, the data mining company related to Merrick Garland's son-in-law, because people spoke up about it. And so we encourage people, speak up because you can and you will make a difference.
So that's what I want to ask you about. You've got a lot of parents who have been watching what's going on in America over the past year, past 2 years, and they're inspired by the pushback that they're seeing, by parents taking the initiative. We've got a school year coming, and you know some of these kinds of issues are going to rise to the top. Parents are going to see things that they don't like. How do you counsel parents who want to get involved but still might feel like, I don't want to be called an extremist. I don't want to be put on an enemies list. What's your encouragement to them?
Absolutely. My coworkers and I are emailing or on the phone with parents every single day talking about these issues, because so many people that are engaged in education right now are accidental activists. These are people who really had no idea and had no problem with what was going on in school 2 years ago, before COVID, before they saw what was really taking place. And so we have resources on our website, defendinged.org, that walk people through first knowing what your rights are so that you know where the red lines are. So if and when those lines are crossed, people know that something should be done about it. And then we have guides on how to get involved, questions to ask your school board, questions to ask your teacher, how to file a public records request, because knowledge is power. And once people know that they can and they should stand up, they will. And courage is contagious.
Some of the most important accidental activists that America's ever had. Nicole Neily, we got to leave it there. Thanks for being with us.